Hi there, welcome back and let's get started with a new movie. Now in this movie we will talk about the indentation. So what's there too much about to talk about the indentation? It's just an empty space. No, it is not. If you are going to say that, that means you are wrong. And initially I'll forgive you for this because every new Python programmer finds it a little bit odd. Now I'm going to write a line of code that might sound a little bit overwhelming to you because we will not be discussing the logic quite a lot in this movie, and we'll just talk about how the things works. Now just notice this carefully. This is going to be unreadable code. It's fairly understandable. So if I just simply say, if true, that simply means if the condition or anything is true, I'll simply say print, and let's just say let's have this example. This is really a bad example out here. I'll again have a print example out here, and I'll be saying print, and I'll say this time this one. Again, nothing wrong about it. Now what I want to do is I want to hit a backspace. I want to write a else, which is again a keyword. And what we are saying here is if it is true, then print this, else we'll say print, and we'll say something like this, or let's just say something. Now this is not at all the greatest piece of code in the world, but we can do with that. Now you can see it is fairly fine. If I'll hit run, it is going to run. It is not going to give us any error. But if you're coming from any programming language, you might see this. What is this happening? Where are those curly braces? And yes, there are no curly braces in the Python. If it would have been any other language, there would be something like this, and I would have been putting something like this out here. But in Python, it prompts us an error because curly braces are not at all allowed. Now, of course, it gives a fairly separation to the code, but the separation of the code in the Python is done by the indentation. What does that mean? If I simply say that I have hit a tab key, now notice what is that out here? 1, 2, 3, and 4. That means one tab. And if you have hit one tab, that means it's fine. But if there is one space more, and if I say space, now see, it prompts us an error. If I click on this, it says that there is an encountered indent problem at line number 5 and column 6. And again, it can be solved simply by removing this. So one space can make sure that your code gets corrupt. But if I just hover it completely like this, and I save this, now notice now else part is giving us an error because I'll show you the reason in just a moment. Just bear with me. What I wanted to show right now is 1, 2, and 3. If I save this, now this prompts an error. So ideal way is to hit the tab key where you want to indent your code. Let's say this part of code is actually part of all the true block. That means I want to indent it all the things with just one tab. If I want to re-indent it, I would be hitting tab key one more time to separate it, but right now I will not do that. Now when I hit like this, now it prompts an error. Now why is that? Because of the else syntax. Now once you are into this particular line, notice my cursor out here, this is the block of code. So what I'm saying that if part is done, now this is the statement which is not going to be inside the if part. That is why it's prompting an error. If I just remove this code or simply hit a Control X and get it out on this part, again I have to re-indent it to make sure everything works, and save this. Now you can see error is gone because this is a separate block of code, while this line is actually the separate line of code in the line number 7. So again, what all I would say that for the new beginners, having indentation problem is obvious. It is not so much bizarre thing. You will make indentation mistake, but nothing to worry. Just hover your mouse, and if it says indent, that means it is a problem of alignment. Make sure your code looks nice and aligned. Of course, a lot of people miss where are those braces, where are those brackets, but yes, this is how the Python goes, and we are not allowed to have our braces in the Python. Again, don't worry too much about what I have written, what is the syntax, how this works. All the questions are going to be answered subsequently. So nothing to be worried. We just have learned one thing out here in this movie, that indentation is kind of important in Python.